Hey, how's it going, y'all? Pete here. It is a great Wednesday afternoon out, just after 1:15 in the p.m. East Coast time, July 2nd, 2014. I just wanted to weigh in on an incident that I became aware of earlier today to hopefully make clear just how one-sided the corporate media can sometimes be in regards to the reporting of police employee actions and interactions with non-police employees. So I'm going to use Google Hangout here. I'm first going to show a video that's about 2 minutes long about the incident. Hey, how's it going, y'all? Pete here. It is a great Wednesday afternoon out. Sorry about that. Still getting the hang of the Google Hangouts, but able to troubleshoot a bit faster these days. So anyway, I'm going to show the video of the incident that I first saw, so you can watch it in full yourself, and then I will show some videos that I just captured. I made a call to the police outfit involved, where the police employees work from. I've made a call to the NBC6, the corporate media that reported on this incident, whose video I'll show, and I also made a call, or I tried to make a call to the Chevron Station. But I'll show those and maybe share some thoughts as well, but just kind of want to keep this on point and quick and fast-paced. So doing the screen share now. I guess first, before I show the video, I should point out that I learned of this story from William Grigg. He blogs at freedominourtime.blogspot. Y'all may know of it of its title, Pro Libertate. He puts out some real on-point content, and I'm real glad that his voice is involved in this conversation. And if you're not familiar with him, you can go to copblock.org/allied. This is where some sort of like-minded outlets are listed. And if you scroll down, you'll see Pro Libertate right here. And so if you click, it'll bring you to a site. Of course, you're welcome to follow him on Twitter or any other outlet where you're active. But much love to Mr. Grigg for bringing this to my attention. When I did click on that link, it brought me to this story, which was posted yesterday, July 1st, and it's attributed to NBC6 Ari Odzer as being the person on scene. And check out the title. It says, "Surveillance video captures cop being choked." So they're framing it as a police employee was choked, and it's shown by the video camera. So I just want you to keep that in mind. I will play this video through. Apologies if there's any glitches or hiccups from time to time. I am at a location where my internet connection's DSL, but if you want to watch this, if there are any hiccups, the link to this is in this Google Hangout description.
Instances in that.
Now at 5, a vicious attack on a Hollywood police officer is caught on camera. The man accused of the brutal beating is facing serious charges, including attempted murder. Team 6 reporter Ari Odzer is live at Hallandale Beach with the tale of the tape. Ari.
Jackie, the officer says at one point this guy had him in a chokehold and he actually lost consciousness. Now, this all started with a would-be traffic stop. The guy didn't stop when the officer tried to pull him over in Hollywood. He followed him here to this gas station, the Chevron on Pembroke Road. The security cameras up there show the officer didn't even have a chance to pull his taser. The fight was on.
Even though we don't want to get into a physical confrontation, and that's why they give us the tools that we have on our belt, sometimes tools fail and we have to resort to hand-to-hand.
The fight goes on for about a minute and a half. Officer Ronald Canella trying to subdue a man named Livingston Manners. The officer wrote in his report that Manners refused all commands to stop resisting, and it kept getting worse.
There were a few instances in that struggle where the officer felt that he was going to lose his life.
Resisting with violence, a battery on a law enforcement officer, and attempted murder. Officer Canella was engaged in what he says was a life-or-death struggle, and then watched the motorcycle rider walk by and totally ignore the situation.
But I don't think there are too many people out there in the world that would see an officer in a physical confrontation on the ground and would actually walk by a couple of steps, watch the fight, and continue to go about his business without offering aid, getting on his cell phone to call 911.
Finally, backup arrives. The responding officer tased Manners, but that only stopped him for a few seconds. Then Canella fired his taser as well. More officers arrived, and they finally got Manners into custody. You see from this video if the officer did anything that violates any kind of police policies or anything like that?
From what we saw on the video, absolutely not. He followed protocol. We believe that he actually showed a little bit more restraint, being that he was alone. It was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Police say that all phases of this incident are still under investigation. In the meantime, Manners is in the Broward County Jail facing extremely serious charges. We're live in Hallandale Beach. Ari Odzer.
Okay, so right now, instead of going right to the videos that I mentioned earlier that I called the police outfit, the news outfit, and the gas station, I'm just going to share a little bit of my own thoughts on this video. I did write down some notes here. I just wanted to say, so this video, it starts out framing it as a vicious attack of a police officer, and they also mention the tail of the tape, as if this video is objective documentation that supports the narrative that's being peddled by this gentleman, Ari Odzer, and at least the colleagues of the aggressor, in my opinion. And they also, it starts out, it immediately gives the police employee saying the police employee was fearful. How did this other gentleman feel? Why didn't they ask him? So let's just play a few seconds at the beginning and listen to all that.
Is caught on camera. The man accused in the brutal beating is facing serious charges.
She already framed it, an attack on a police officer. So setting the framing.
Team 6 reporter Ari Odzer is live in Hallandale Beach with the tail of the tape. Ari.
Jackie, the officer says at one point this guy had him in a chokehold and he actually lost consciousness.
So this police employee supposedly claims he was in a chokehold and almost lost consciousness. But all the video, if that is true, I'm not sure why that particular clip of video hasn't been shown yet. They did show, they started the video, if you caught it, with the police employee, who's still unnamed, pulling the gentleman out of his vehicle. It didn't start by the police employee walking up and saying, "Hey, did you realize that you ran this stop sign, or you did some action that I claim is illicit, even though there's no victim," or whatever they're going to do. Instead, the video starts right with the police employee pulling the gentleman out of his vehicle, yet it's framed as though the police employee had no time to pull his taser, you know. So if the police employee were that physically in fear, why would he put himself so close? Why not create some distance and if need be, call colleagues? To me, I think that answer is clear, but let's continue.
This all started with a would-be traffic stop. The guy didn't stop when the officer tried to pull him over in Hollywood. He followed him here to this gas station, the Chevron on Pembroke Road. The security cameras up there show the officer didn't even have a chance to pull his taser. The fight.
So, again, I just want to... The reason I did try to call the Chevron station was to inquire about these security cameras, why they've obviously been released to the police outfit. Have they made this same content available for anybody else? And if so, I'd like to see that, because right now I think what is being shown by this corporate media station was likely clipped or tailored by the police outfit and provided to them on no questions asked.
Was on.
Even though we don't want to get into a physical confrontation, and that's why they give us the tools that we have on our belt, sometimes tools fail and we have to resort to hand.
The fight goes on.
So that statement you just heard was made by one of the colleagues of the aggressor on the scene, another Hollywood police employee. And for him to say, "Oh, we don't want to see fights, that's why we have all these tools on our utility belt," that's hypocritical. If these tools that they have are there to gain compliance, and if they're used to ratchet up their level of force that is claimed legitimate to gain compliance, if they really cared about diffusing situations, they would use communication skills and other ways to de-escalate, and they certainly wouldn't be harassing people for committing an act that harmed nobody else. Let's continue.
For about a minute and a half, Officer Ronald Canella trying to subdue a man named Livingston.
Okay, listen to this. Trying to subdue a man. And notice again, the man on top is the police employee, and he's pummeling the traveler of that vehicle. He's hitting him with his fists, with his forearms. And the other individual is trying to block, and he eventually tries to turn away from being assaulted.
Manners, the officer wrote in his report that Manners refused all commands to stop resisting, and it kept getting worse.
There were a few instances in that struggle where the officer felt that he was...
And again, this is some police spokesperson. He's doing damage control for the aggressor. He wasn't even at the scene, and so he's just parroting the narrative that the police employee, who, in my opinion, was the aggressor there at the scene, told him, and he's just making it a little more polished and creating yet another buffer removed from the individual. Why isn't the individual actor there even named? It's pretty telling.
Lose his life. Resisting with violence and fire.
Manners is charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and attempted murder. Officer Canella was engaged.
And a couple of the threats that this gentleman is now charged with include, it lists here, as you just heard on the audio, on the video there, threats that include resisting an officer, and resisting an officer, that's included, as if, which goes to show that people in this injustice system, in legal land, give themselves and their colleagues more rights or weight. I mean, why is there an aggravated offense, or why might somebody face more time in a cage if they've done the same action just because the person that they supposedly wronged happens to wear a badge? It doesn't make sense to me. It means this legalese makes clear that there's two classes of people, and it's why I don't try to conflate legal legislation with law, because it's not the same.
To what he says was a life or death struggle, and then watch the motorcycle rider walk by and totally ignore the situation.
So again, remember, the police employee's on the top the entire time, pummeling this individual who's trying to turn away, and they're framing it as if this other non-involved individual just walked by as when the police employee was, at risk of loss of his life, when that clearly wasn't happening. And then,
I don't think there are too many people out there in the world that would see an officer in a physical confrontation on the ground and would actually walk by a couple.
And for this guy to see an officer on the ground, again, as if there's some angelic quality to a person because they work for a particular organization. Why didn't he say see a person on the ground or see another human being on the ground? But instead he chose to say see an officer, because he feels, I would think, that they deserve more protections or whatever, or that more right violations can be supposedly justified in order to, I don't know. Anyway, I continue
steps to watch the fight and continue to go about his business without offering aid, getting on his cell phone to call 911.
Finally, backup arrives to respond.
And listen to this. So now backup is here of again, an unnamed police employee. And listen to what the narrator here, Ari Odzer from NBC Miami Channel 6 says. He says that this individual finally arrives to help her colleague who's in a perilous situation, again, who's continually being pummeling another individual. So the colleague shows up and goes right in and tases this gentleman, and the narrator for the TV station says, oh, he quickly recovers and starts fighting again or whatever. But clearly the taser had an impact, and he's laying there limp. And then conveniently enough, the next clip we see is him being being led to a transport to be caged. What happens with this other mentioned second tase? What happens when the other colleagues arrive? What's not being shown?
Manners, but that only stopped him for a few seconds. Then Canella fired his taser as well. More officers arrived, and they finally got Manners into custody.
Can you see from this video if the officer did anything that violates any kind of police policies or anything like that?
From what we saw on the video, absolutely not.
So listen to this softball question from this corporate media reporter. Did you, Mr. Police Employee, see your colleague harm somebody else or act in the wrong? The police employee, of course, says, no, we didn't. So what is this really due diligence? Is this good reporting, investigative reporting by this corporate media outfit? It's ridiculous. I mean, why didn't he ask the person who's now caged whether he thought the situation was handled justly? And why doesn't he ask the larger question on how an institution that polices itself can ever be held accountable? It can't.
The protocol, we believe that he actually showed a little bit more restraint, being that he was alone. It was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Police say that all phases of this incident are still under investigation. In the meantime, Manners is in the Broward County Jail facing extremely serious charges. We're live in Hallandale Beach. Ari Odzer, NBC 6.
So again, I think it's important to start the conversation where it begins, and to recognize that when there's no victim, there's no crime, and to think about how the situation really began. The news person again said it started at the incident went down around 3 a.m. So where was the victim? This gentleman supposedly rolled through a stop sign. I've yet to hear of a person or property that was damaged. Therefore, the initial stop was without merit. There was no reason that this Hollywood police employee had a right to stop somebody's freedom of movement when they did nothing to harm another. It's not enough to say, oh, you might have harmed somebody, because if that's the criteria necessary, then maybe it makes sense for all babies once born to be caged for their entire life just so they can't harm somebody else or harm themselves, and they could be kept under the watchful eye of our so-called rulers and masters. But anyway, I encourage y'all. Let me share these videos real quick, and then get back to it. So there's 3 videos again. One with the Chevron Station attempted call, one with NBC, and one with the police outfit. And unfortunately, I was unable to speak with anybody at 2 of the 3. I was only able to speak with a woman at the Chevron Station. The other 2, I left voicemails. But let's try this. So this is the long one. This is me calling the NBC station, and I'll fast forward from time to time if it makes sense to do so. So right now I'm about to call NBC Miami. They attribute the story to their employee Ari Odzer, and their contact information lists the call-in number 954 NBC 6000, and NBC translates to 622. So that is the number I'm going to call using my Google Voice.
Thank you for calling NBC 6 and telemetry 51. If you have breaking news or wish to reach a newsroom, please press 1. For Spanish breaking news, please press 2. Si tienes noticias de última hora o deseas comunicarte con nuestra redacción, marque 2. For the NBC 6 directory, please press 3. For the Telemundo 51 directory, please press 4. Para el directorio de Telemundo Canal 51, marque 4. If you know the point we're trying to reach, please press 5. Si conoce la persona que está tratando de localizar, marque 5. For operator assistance, please dial 0.
Instead of being stuck in that phone tree, might as well.
Channel 6 and 51.
Yeah, I want to let you know I'm recording this call for my records, but I was hoping to be transferred to Ari Odzer, please. Thank you.
Hi, you've reached the desk of Ari Odzer at NBC 6. I'm here right now. Please leave a message though, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If something is an emergency, call our assignment desk at 954-622-6111. Thanks a lot. Please leave a message after the tone. When you have finished recording, press number sign for additional message options, or just hang up.
Hi, Ari. I hope you're doing well. My name is Pete Ayer, and I'm just one of the many folks involved with the decentralizedcopblock.org. I just happened to become aware of a story that was posted on NBCMiami.com yesterday, Tuesday, July 1st, 2014, entitled Surveillance Video Captured Cop Being Choked. And upon viewing it a few times and reading the text associated, wanted to reach out and ask you a few questions. You're welcome to get back in touch with me at pete@copblock.org. But essentially, since I do have this, I won't take much of your time, but a few of the questions that I had that I'd encourage you to think about, because, I think anytime there's violence, no matter who's wetting it out and who's the victim, it's not a preferable situation. A peaceful coexistence, I think, is preferable to most people. So I would hope that in thinking about the questions I ask, and maybe you don't reach the same conclusion, but maybe you do reach something similar, but that by posting things like cop being choked when the video evidence never shows that. In fact, the video evidence shows that starts late, shows the police employee who's never named, which I found curious when the individual Livingston Manners, his name was mentioned no less than 5 times in the first 3 paragraphs of the write-up that accompanied this video. So I'm curious why this doubles. You're comfortable putting your name next to content that allows for double standards. It starts by giving the perspective of the police employee, and it never gives the perspective of Mr. Manners. And again, it names Mr. Manners, and it never names the police employee. It also, you give a soundbite in time to one of the police employee's colleagues. Why does there need to be damage control done? You know, why does someone need to speak about the actions of other people if they weren't even present themselves? And also, it's claimed that you know, the injuries of the officer were given at the end of the article, yet the injuries sustained by Mr. Manners were never given. I thought that too demonstrated sort of the double standards, the echoing of the police line that I found prevalent in this piece of content, and I think it's important to make that clearer to other people so they don't just buy into this ready-made paradigm or ready-made narrative that police employees create and that the corporate media tends to do. And what I see thus far, unless I hear from you otherwise, that you are fine associating your name with. And I think it's important to start this conversation where it begins as well. It's not just what happened at this incident, what led up to this incident. It's claimed that Mr. Manners rolled through a stop sign, apparently, in a vehicle. And later it's given in the newscast that this incident happened around 3 a.m. So I wonder, let's assume Mr. Manners did roll through a stop sign. Obviously, he has an incentive not to harm somebody else, not to harm himself or his property, so he's going to do this when it's safe. And if he does hurt somebody, he should be accountable for it. But the peaceful actions that don't harm anybody else shouldn't justify the use of force. Essentially what happened here is it's claimed a gentleman rolled through a stop sign, therefore this unnamed this unnamed stranger has a right to stop him, and him and his colleagues have a right to use physical force up until the point of death to gain his compliance. And again, Mr. Manners, assuming he ran a stop sign, maybe he didn't, maybe he was profiled, who knows. There is an incentive for these folks to shake others down and to find easy prey. That's the incentives built into it. But anyway, I would encourage you to think about why this incident even came about. Mr. Manners' actions, even if he did them, didn't cause a victim. There was no victim that the police employee could point to. Was the stop sign injured? Was the street injured? Was the neighborhood injured? No. So if you allow for a group of people to use force against somebody else for doing an action that had no victim, it sets the stage and allows for a really destructive gulf between these two groups of people, and that can only grow in size and scope. And so I'd encourage you to think about maybe doing a redaction or an update to this story, and as well as keeping this sort of thing in mind for future stories. And since you're down there in South Florida, I encourage you, if you haven't already, to reach out with Carlos Miller and Jeff Gray of Photography is Not a Crime, and there's a lot of other South Florida-based groups in South Florida. So anyway, 7 minutes, I feel like that's enough of a message. All right, so we're going to move on from that one. Let's do a screen share of another video now. A couple calls that were made. Just going to come back, I guess, to this main screen, and I'll show this next video. Let's see which one this is. 354. This is when I tried calling the Chevron. And actually, the background to this is that I called the same number once, and I was like, huh? And then I called them again and tried to seek clarification, apparently just to save some time. The woman I spoke with, yes, worked at Chevron, but the number that's on the Chevron station, on the Chevron website, was not to the particular Chevron station itself, and she was unable to transfer me there and unable to transfer me to their legal department. But still, I sought to share some of the input with her. So here's the number, the Chevron Station, 954-431-5389. It's on the corner of 8th and Pembroke in Hallandale. So I'm going to use my Google Voice to give them a call, see if we can hear anything from them before calling the news outfit and the police outfit.
Energy.
Yeah, hi, I want to let you know I'm recording this call for my records, but I just want to make sure I'm talking with the Chevron that's at the corner of Pembroke and 8th. Is that where you're working at right now?
For energy.
Oh, okay. I got this number off of the Chevron website. It lists 954-431-5389.
Okay.
And so you're telling me that's not the Chevron station?
No, this is not the Chevron. But what? Can you give me the address of the station?
It lists it at 1011 Northwest 8th Ave in Hallandale.
Is there a complaint?
Well, there was just an incident there yesterday I was hoping to talk with someone more about, but do you happen to work with any, I'm sorry, who am I speaking with? You don't work with, okay, thank you.
Sarah, you have to contact the station directly.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I apologize if I'm not trying to waste your time. Do you happen to have a number for them that I could use?
I really don't.
Okay, again, this was just a number that I found through searching for stores online. But so you work at Chevron, just not at the station, is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Just so you know, in case you're curious, and then I'll let you go and get back to your day. There was a incident that happened there last night of a gentleman who was, I would think, his rights were violated by Hollywood police employees, and the story that I've seen put out by the media thus far has been omitted some information and sort of echoed what some of the police employees are saying. So I just wanted to try to present a more neutral perspective on it. Okay. Is there a legal department perhaps I could be transferred to that might be able to?
Not here. Not out.
Okay, I was just wondering the policy on turning footage over to police outfits but not making it public, if that was.
Any issues with the actual station after the traffic.
Okay. All right, well, I appreciate your help.
All right, no problem.
Bye-bye. Okay, and that was the conclusion of that call. Not too helpful. At least one more person familiar with the company involved, or maybe she talks with some colleagues at the water cooler, or looks more into this incident, or becomes interested in police accountability and sees the need to be involved in it. But let's watch this last video. This should be the when I called the police outfit. So though this incident happened in Hallandale, Florida, the police employees involved worked out a Hollywood police outfit nearby. So I just attempted to call the number listed on the website, 954-967-4357, and I went through their phone tree for a couple minutes. I just then again tried to find a more direct number for somebody so I could talk to somebody, and just thought it was worth pointing out as I drilled down in these things, it lists all these people that are part of the command staff. So again, it just speaks to the hierarchy and the top-down centralization that's inherent in these outfits that can in no way serve you or me, supply us with protection or anything like that. Instead, their incentive is to grow in size and scope and to say more actions are illegal, and therefore they have the right to shake you and me and our friends and family down more often for actions that have no victim. So anyway, I just wanted to note that. I could find no other good number for these folks in this outfit, which really speaks. They don't have any phone number down here on the footer. They have their physical address, and so to me that really speaks to the fact that they're not customer oriented. They're not there to help you and myself. They're there to protect their own interests, protect the legitimacy of the institution. So anyway, I'll give it another try. I'll probably just press some random button and try to talk to somebody.
The City of Hollywood. If this is an emergency, hang up and immediately dial 911. Please listen carefully as our options have recently changed. For all non-emergency police issues, press 1 to be connected with other city departments. Please, thank you for calling the City of Hollywood Police Department. If you need a police officer to be dispatched to handle a non-emergency concern, press 1. For the Criminal Investigations Division, press 2. For the Internal Affairs Unit, press 3.
Seemed pretty criminal what I saw. Let's see if they have any thoughts. Yeah, hi, I want to let you know I'm recording this call for my records, but I was hoping to talk to somebody about the incident that happened yesterday in over in Hallandale at the Chevron gas station.
Hollywood. This is Hollywood.
Yeah, I know that, man. There was a as of yet unnamed Hollywood police employee involved. There was an individual that was trailed. Allegedly, he had not stopped at a stop sign. He was followed to a gas station, and thank you. Look at these toys they have.
You have reached the Hollywood Police Department Special Operations Division. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. Hit that, leave a message, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible.
Hi, I want to let you know I'm recording this call for my records, but my name is Pete Ayer, one of the many folks involved with the decentralizedcopblock.org, and anyone there at your outfit is welcome to get in touch with me at pete@copblock.org to share any thoughts about my pending statements or anything additional. But my call today is in reference to an incident that happened in the early morning at Chevron Station over in Hallandale, that involved some employees of the Hollywood police outfit. What I saw, based on the NBC Miami coverage of it, it framed the incident in a way that omitted a lot of information and made it sound as though one of y'all's colleagues was being aggressed upon thoroughly, whereas the video that I've seen shows the opposite. It shows that individual who was traveling, who I never, even if what he alleged to have done which was run a stop sign or roll through a stop sign slowly, even if that was done, that created no victim. Therefore, your colleague or perhaps people there on the scene who aggressed upon him were listening to this. Therefore, you aggressed upon this individual. You chose to initiate force. If this individual hadn't done anything to injure a person or property, there was no right for yourselves to initiate force, just as there would be no right for me or anybody else not wearing a badge to initiate force. So I just want you to think about this, and I hope, if anyone listening to this is of a similar wavelength, I hope you speak out. You're welcome to share your thoughts via the form at copblock.org/submit. The more, y'all sit by or you proactively victimize people and aggress upon their rights like this, or sit by while your colleagues do it, the more this division is going to be between the so-called so-claimed authorities and those that whose lives they try to regulate and control. And that really isn't conducive to a free society. And I'd hope if you took that job to help protect people and property and create a better reality, you would think about that. And some more ideas along that vein, if you're curious, are at copblock.org/welcome-leos. And input is always welcome on those resources, as is new content if you choose to create some stuff. And I just note a lot of people are starting to pay attention to what's going on. They're recognizing the violence inherent in these police apparatus. Again, despite whatever good intentions may exist, it's a coercive monopoly, and it cannot provide justice or be accountable because it lacks competition and the proper incentives. So anyway, I won't take up more of your time, but if any of y'all have any thoughts on this, I'd appreciate a contact. And I I would appreciate going forward if you do come to conclude that yes, ultimately the job that you're now working is based on theft and it's not something that is conducive to freedom. I would hope that you would act according to your conscience and choose to disassociate yourself with it. Thanks. Okay, so that's another video there. Going to get back to undoing the screen capture. So anyway, there was some contact that I had with some of these folks, or attempted contact, at least shared some ideas, and I hope, you know, last week was up at Pork Fest and ran into a lot of people who said that they take time to actually participate in the call floods and things like that. So if you do feel compelled to call, to try to change, to weigh in or ask questions or try to change the narrative for this individual. I don't know him, and I don't know, you know, I don't know what happened before that video started, but it's curious again that the video started when it did, that it excluded a number of things, that the framing that the corporate media and the police outfit is trying to erect around the incident doesn't mesh with what the video that is shown discloses. And let me see if there's anything else I wanted to touch on. I mean, yeah, pretty much. If you're in the area, definitely film interactions. If you're anywhere, film police interactions. Go to copblock.org/film the police. And if you're in South Florida, there's a lot of groups on the the groups page. But also, one last thing I did want to share again is about this this police outfit there, the Hollywood police outfit. Just like any police outfit, the police employees in Hollywood, Florida, tell the people in their community whom they claim to protect that, hi, I'm here to protect you, but before I do that, I first have the right to steal your money so I can pay my salary, benefits for my toys, and all these other things, and for jails, cages, and things that you might not otherwise want to pay for. So there's since the supply of policing is not constrained by any market factors, by any input from you or your neighbors, your community. If, for example, you live in Hollywood and you've lived in Hollywood for a while and you're familiar with some of these issues, such as a RICO lawsuit against another police outfit nearby, and in the past, let's say 10 years, they were being investigated by other criminal gangs. There was accusations of cover-ups for different incidents. There was a person beat, a skull fractured, and a tasering of a person. And again, people who live in Hollywood are on the hook for the payout. The person, the aggressor, continued on in law enforcement, went to work with another criminal gang nearby. So anyway, this is an outfit that has a history of abuse where individual employees aren't held accountable, and nor should we be surprised about that, because, you know, really no police outfits bring about accountability because they're based on double standards. So anyway, I realized this video got a bit rambling and long. It's my first attempt to sort of aggregate, to talk about an incident, to make some calls, and also then to put a capstone on it. So in the future, hopefully they're more succinct. Hopefully you hear from other people, not just me. And if you do feel compelled, again, to make some calls or look into this further, all the links that I'm aware of are listed in the video description. So until next time, much love.